In this video, we are going to learn about what is a single page application, commonly also known as SPA. So a single page application is a type of a web application that loads only a single web page and then updates the body of that single web page using JavaScript. Now, if you clearly see, then this definition almost applies to our thing which we were doing, right? We were building using React, and in React, essentially the same thing was happening. That when you see that actual HTML which is loaded is sort of just a bare bones, and whatever the whole application is there, that is dynamically created and inserted inside our root. Some div or some element is there, and inside that whole web application is inserted dynamically after React is loaded. The JavaScript, the HTML contents is created and inserted here, right? That is one thing. So the body of the content is created using JavaScript, and the page which is loaded is a single web page. Now you might be thinking that why then it is single web page? Isn't it that there can be many pages? Turns out that no. Even if you load some other page, so actually later we will see in this set of videos only that there is something called React router and those things, which means that right now we are just getting started that how particular React application works. But as and when we go along, then what we are going to do is that we are going to create multiple pages, but all of the multiple pages are still going to be rendered by React only. Then how does a page content is different from the page content of the other page? So actually what happens is that even if you technically see that there are like 5 pages, so let's say this page is there, and let's say this page slash login page is there, or this page slash dashboard page is there, whatever page you load, ultimately a single web page is only loaded, and based on your routing thing, which we will see later, actually whatever the content which is loaded inside, that is changed dynamically, but still the raw page which is loaded is same, single page. And that's why this is called a single page web application. In fact, you can see here that if you go and write some random thing, so let's say slash AHD or something, then you'll see that still the same thing is loaded, right? If you see the page source, still you can see the same thing is loaded, right? Now it's just that the content is still the same because we have not set up routing, and we are not creating separate content for separate routes, which we will do. But the idea you get is that whatever thing you hit, you get a single web page loaded. Yeah, so let's see one more point. A single page application loads a new page without loading the page from the server. Now this new page means second page onwards. Obviously the first page will be loaded directly from the server. From the second page onwards, actually the page is not refreshed, which means that the whole page is not loaded again from the server. Rather, silently, at most just the data needed for that thing is loaded from the server. At most only this thing, if it has some dynamic content or something, right? Now it might be you might be understanding what is this all about. So let me show you an example. So one of the examples of single page application is React. Okay, the React website itself, react.js.org. Now if you see that most of the websites, what happens that when you are on some page and when you click some other thing, then the whole page will be reloaded. You can understand that this this whole page will be refreshed, and the whole new page will be reloaded, right? But if right now you click, then you'll see that actually what happens, that the simple way to see that whether some page is refreshing or not is that refresh icon will become cross for some time because the new page is loading, and then it will go back to refresh. But if you click, then you will see that silently the URL will change, but new page will not reload, refresh. So if you click, then you can see that clearly it is like smooth, right? So you can see that if I go back again, then also like it is smoother. Contrast that with some other website, something called, let's say you go to MDN website and you go here. Now if you go, let's say, on some other link, so let's say guides, okay, then if you click, then you can see that this also does not reload. Okay, so yeah, now it is reloading. So here some part might be SP, some part not. So let's go to a proper website which is I know for the fact that it is not SPA, which means that let's say this github.com. Now here, if you click on team, then you can see that this is reloading. This whole page is basically reloaded, which means that when I clicked a new link, then it is as good as I was on a completely new page, separate page, and I entered this URL, and whole this new page is reloaded from scratch. That is what is happening. If I go back again, then you can see that again the whole page is reloaded. Now obviously some sort of caching or something will be there, that for example, if the page is not changing, then that will load faster. That and all will happen, but overall the whole page is getting refreshed every time. Okay, now you saw the difference, right? That now clearly you can see that the experience is much smoother in this case. Okay, so this is what a single page application does. This is a new type of web applications. I think recently in the last 7-8 years it has become more popular, especially with the advent of Angular JS and React JS, that the whole page is a single web application. Okay, initially today.com started with this concept, also started with this concept. In fact, right now your Gmail application is also an example of single page application. If you go again to your Gmail and you see carefully that whenever, let's say, some email is there, right, or let's say left side you saw some other tab, let's say apart from inbox, some drafts or starred something is there, right, and if you click, then you will not see the whole page being refreshed. Okay, silently like this, smooth experience will be there. So that is what new age applications are there. Okay, now what it cannot be that it is all in all always good, right? Because if everything is perfect, then everybody will just create this type of applications only, right? It turns out that there are a few advantages and there are a few disadvantages of this approach, right? In React we are learning single page application. Okay, that is how that is what the React is for. Okay, so let me show you firstly a few advantages. The first advantage is going to be that the performance gains after the first page load. So first page load might be slightly slower, but with today's speed of the internet, it might not you might not understand that it's slow or not. So for that, for example, let's say I'm completely going React for the first time, then also it's fast, but that is fine because internet speeds are generally nowadays good. So the first page might be slightly slower than a normal non-single page application. However, from the second page onwards, definitely it is a performance gain, because you can see this experience is too much smoother, because you are not reloading the whole page. Just if something is there, which is some piece of data or something is there, then only you load that thing. In fact, for that also nowadays caching, so nowadays pre-fetching, preloading, those sort of concepts is there, that all other linked data you already load. Okay, because right now if I'm sitting idle on this page, then why to waste time if in the same time I can load some other pages. Okay, so in the background, okay, for speeding up the next page access. Okay, but apart from that, there are some more advantages. Obviously we saw that not only the second page is loaded faster, actually inherently it shows a much smoother app-like experience. So in app you never see that, mobile apps like Android or iOS, you don't see the page refreshes, right? Mostly some web apps are built using web technology also, but mostly they are much smoother. And with the advent of, so for example, let's say you see this somebody opens this application in mobile, and then they open this page, then definitely this is going to be much smoother, because there is no page reload, there is no much lag, right? So that is what I was trying to say. Now there is also less load on the server for rendering pages. What is this all about? That if every page is loaded again and again, the whole HTML is loaded again and again from the server, then that there is much load on the server, right? Right now what is happening, the first time only when page you are loading. So you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say that let's say the user landed here, then the whole almost all bundle, JavaScript bundle and everything loaded first time here, and when you went here, then the things were smooth. But it can be other way around also, which means that let's say initially you loaded this thing directly, this URL you loaded, then when you loaded this, then the whole thing loaded, which means that all the bundle, JavaScript, everything but React, everything is loaded here. And now if you go here to home page, then that becomes a smooth, which, and that's why I was saying here also that whether you are at home page or other, it is single page application, which means that the the core will be loaded same, that there is a single web page that will be loaded from any route you come, that same page will be loaded, and dynamically based on routing it will be decided that as and when you go to the different routes, then what is the content to be shown, but that is dictated by the React and the React router, which we'll learn later. So these are the advantages, right? Now obviously there can be some disadvantages also, right? The major disadvantage is that search engine optimization generally does not work, which means that now you can clearly see that my page is like just empty, right? Whatever welcome, hello, Alex, anything is written, that thing is not there inside my HTML, right? Now this is problematic, right? Because search engines like Google, they will crawl your page and they will see the HTML, and inside HTML whatever things you have written, based on that they will index your page, right? Now if something like this is not there, all the content is not there, then that might harm your ranking of the page, right? So that is one disadvantage. However, obviously these disadvantages have been fixed using some other technologies which are built on top of these single page applications. So there is something called SSR, server side rendering, okay? And this server side, okay, this is like, okay, so let's see server side rendering. Okay, so server side rendering is a concept where the first page which you load is actually not just giving you a blank page, rather it is giving you the whole content, and then from there if you move to some other page, then the content internally is just whatever, let's say some API call is needed for the data of this page, then only that call is going, rather than the whole HTML call, right? Now it is like best of both world, isn't it, in some way? So that if somebody is loading this page, then HTML for this page is loaded for the first time, and if somebody is loading this page, then HTML for this, which means that if web crawlers crawl your URL, then they get the full HTML. At the same time, as a user, whenever you land on one page and then navigate, then you don't load the whole page again and again. So, and there are some frameworks like Next.js or something we might discuss in the future, that those are propagating this sort of idea that server side rendering will in fact will improve your application. In fact, server side rendering also does some more things. So the first page load may be relatively slower. This is also one of the advantages, right? Which one of the things which I said earlier. In fact, that also can be solved using frameworks like Next.js, because what happens that what they do that they might just critically render HTML and CSS only for that page, and in the background they preload other things whichever is needed. Okay, so obviously this is like React and this sort of single page technology is too much good, right? So obviously whatever are the disadvantages, there has been some progress in solving that also. Apart from that, one problem is still there, that you have to implement navigation on the client side, which means that the application becomes somewhat complex, right? So normal applications where let's say this is a separate page and this is a separate page, then it is plain and simple, right? Client means the browser and the JavaScript and React, whatever is operating on the browser side. They don't have to bother about like how routes will work and all, right? Because whatever pages are available, every page is coming from the server. So for each page you go to the server and they will return you HTML, as simple as that, right? But here you can understand that I am at this URL and now I go to, let's say, this slash docs getting started page. Then there's no server involved here, right? Here the React application itself has to be aware that what are the available routes and at what route I have to load additional what data. So these sort of things, so which means that the application is slightly becoming complex to make, and that's why today's front-end technologies have become not that simple, which were like 10 years ago. So technology and the website building process might get slightly complicated, but you get the advantages which we discussed just now, right? So it will be slightly difficult to implement these things, but those things will be slightly simpler on non-single page applications, or sometimes we call them multi-page applications. Okay, so that is almost all. Just wanted to give you an idea that if sometimes while React, this term single page application is also many times used, so you should have an idea that what they're talking about. Okay, so that will be all for this video. Thanks.